Was Moses born on the 7th of Adar? For those of you who do not know, this is a Jewish rabbinical tradition. And I can probably just look it up on Safari. I'll switch to my normal person keyboard. Oh. Never mind, I have something to do. By the way, this is also the Jewish rabbinical traditional date for Moses' death, and I think we have is a good case for that. By the way, this is Kehot Chumash. Includes some rabbinic commentary inside with the biblical text, which I don't really like. As you can see, there's also Moses' death on 7th of Adar, but also mention of his birth being there. But does this actually bear out with the math? I made a math video yesterday, though it'll end up being uploaded earlier today. I intended it for yesterday. Well, technically I intended it for the day before, but then I postponed it because of how late it was. So I started it yesterday, but it was already 11:59 p.m. when I finished recording, so it'll end up today as well. So let's grant that Moses was the 7th of Adar, and Adar 7th, 40, that means the 40th year since the Exodus, is when Moses turned 120. I think they're reading too much into the word today. When Moses says, "Today I am 120 years old," I think they're reading too much into that word when they say that Moses was born on the 7th of Adar. Anyway, let's ignore that and let's subtract 39 years to 71. Moses would have been 81. That's when Moses turned 81. This is the Adar 7th in the year of the Exodus. So it is the first Adar 7th after the Exodus, which happened on Nisan the 15th. By the way, the 12 months of the Hebrew calendar, in case you're wondering, are Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishri, Kislev, Keshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Shavat, and Adar. And by the way, Adar is doubled in leap years. A leap year is any year whose Hebrew calendar year number divided by 19 has a remainder of 3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, or 0. In these leap years, there is another month inserted between Shavat and the true Adar, that is called Adar Aleph, or Adar 1. That's what it was the last time I checked the wiki page, and the original Adar is called Adar Bet, or Adar 2. So now let's subtract one additional year. This would have been Moses' 80th birthday. Moses would have turned 80 on Adar 7th in the year BE1, that is, year 1 before the Exodus. This was the last Adar 7th before the Exodus, and it was about a little over 5 weeks before the Exodus. So that's when Moses would have turned 80. During the year before this, he would have been 79. However, let me find Exodus 7. 7 says, now Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 years old when they spoke to Pharaoh. That means that Moses was already 80 years old when he went to speak to Pharaoh. And this was definitely before the 7th of Adar, because as the first plague, the plague of blood, that is something that Egyptologist and Exodus historicist David Falk says happens in September. And this is on record. I know it's on record because I literally watched him live say that. And I know that I watched him live say that because A, I watched him live say that, and B, I'm the one who asked the question he said that in response to. So Moses was already 80 quite some time before the 7th of Adar in the year right before the Exodus. So it seems that the biblical evidence is against the idea that the 7th of Adar is Moses' birthday. I still think the case for it being the date when he died is pretty good though. That's all for this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow, or maybe later today, depending on what I feel like doing. Darkblade out.